All right, Mark, thanks. If you're in the midst of trying to get a home loan modification, perhaps you're even facing foreclosure, there is a bill that's headed to the governor's desk that's aimed at protecting the homeowner. Assemblyman Nathan Fletcher is here to help us understand what the Homeowners Bill of Rights is. Good morning, Nathan Fletcher.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for coming in.
Yeah, good to have you. It's a huge issue that we've been facing for a while now, the foreclosure crisis.
Yeah, at least 6 years.
Right.
If not hundreds of thousands, millions of people across the country have lost their homes due to foreclosure. Here in California, though, things are about to change due to the Homeowners Bill of Rights. Tell us what this is.
Well, this legislation, you know, my eyes were really open to the problem we faced about 2 years ago. I had a constituent, Gary Andrews, who called and was losing his home, and he was trying to do the right thing. He was trying to make a payment. He wanted to stay in. He was trying to do modification. But you see how difficult it is for a regular person to confront a massive industry, one that doesn't have a lot of rules put in place to protect regular folks. And so the Homeowners Bill of Rights tries to put in place a fair process so that people have a single point of contact.
Which is huge. Because I know people who are going through this and they say every time they call, they get
a different person, or you get the runaround, or you call and you get redirected here and you get redirected there. And that's not right. You ought to have a single point of contact. One person you call that handles your case.
So that's one of the things that's in the bill. Yeah.
One of the provisions I really liked was eliminating what's called dual tracking. And dual tracking was a system where one person from the bank would tell you that they're going to modify your loan while another person from the bank is foreclosing on you. Well, you can't do that. If you're going to foreclose, then you foreclose. If you're going to help someone modify, you help someone modify. But we're going to be upfront and honest. And really, it's a series of really groundbreaking policies to provide homeowners with a fair and consistent process to try and help keep people in their homes. And in the event there has to be a foreclosure, to make sure that it's done right and that people are treated fairly.
Now, of course, the banks aren't exactly thrilled with this. In fact, some of the banks say that this will end up raising fees on real estate transactions. This could actually have a negative effect on our housing market. What's your response to that?
Well, I mean, look, they've been operating without a series of rules for a long time, and I understand that no one wants to play by a set of rules. But our job as elected officials is to strike that balance and do what's right. When this bill initially came before the Banking and Finance Committee, which I sit on, I wasn't supportive because I thought that there were some pieces of it that didn't work. And a group of us, a group of Democrats, myself, came together and we drove some significant changes in the bill to make it better policy. And even those that oppose it will say that the bill is better in terms of its ability to be workable. But, you know, you're always going to have opposition. But I think this was a rare example in Sacramento where you did have a couple of Republicans, some Democrats, and independent all come together to support what I think is the right thing to do for California people.
Now, if the governor does in fact sign this, which he's expected to do, when does it go into effect?
It would go into effect January 1 of next year.
So for the people who are in the midst of this right now, and they're really facing foreclosure, they're at the brink of it, is there anything that they can do during the next 6 months or so in order to wait for these provisions to go into effect?
Well, I think it would be hopeful. I would like to think that we would see some good faith on the part of those institutions that might start adhering to some of these principles, knowing that it's going to be the law. The other thing that's important to note is a lot of these provisions were agreed to by the 5 largest banks as a part of a federal settlement. And so we're merely putting them in place for California for all banks and all institutions. So some of these protections should already be in effect. And then, you know, at the end of the day, if you're getting in the runaround, you ought to call your elected official and ask them to help you.
Now, are you getting a lot of calls like that, especially from homeowners still?
I mean, we've gotten a number of them over the course of the last few years. And when people are trying, you know, they're trying to say, hey, I want to stay in my house. I want to make payments. I want to do the right thing. I'm just having an awful time navigating through this system. You know, and that in a lot of ways is our job, to try and provide that help and assistance.
I think that there was a time where the banks didn't even know how to handle the amount of people who suddenly weren't able to make their payments anymore because their loans had adjusted. Now they have their rules set in place, and now it's trying to help the homeowner understand what their rights are.
Well, just make sure people have a fair shot. You need access to information. You need to know what your options are. And you need to have that single point of contact so you can get treated fairly. And, you know, what created and caused the housing crisis is a phenomenally complicated thing involving the debt and who owns the debt and where it went and how it was sold and securitized. But at the end of the day, what I believe matters is that if you have someone who wants to stay in their home, they're experiencing some difficulty, we want to try and help them do the right thing. But you need a level playing field, and folks need access to information, and they've got to be treated fairly.
Switch gears on you for a second. The mayor's race obviously didn't turn out the way you had hoped it would. So what's next for you?
I don't know. You know, we're working hard in the legislature. Last week we saw our Chelsea's Law implementation legislation advance. We saw a government reform measure, abolishing the safe call box system advance. We had adoption legislation that advanced. We were involved in this issue. So I'm going to continue to work hard as a state assemblyman, and you know, I've always enjoyed public service, whether that was the military or the legislature, but you don't have to be in elected office to do that. So I got some time.
Do you see yourself staying here in San Diego?
Oh yeah, no, this is our home.
Good.
Yeah, of course. No, we're never leaving San Diego. This is home. My boys were born. We bought our house. Got married. Went to boot camp. This is definitely where we'll stay.
Well, good to hear. Nathan Fletcher, thank you so much for coming in.
Good to see you again.
And as things progress with this Bill of Rights, please come back and help us understand.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thanks, Heather.